It's time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Season 13, Episode 2 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I can almost kind of hardly believe that it's already here. It seems crazy, but it's here. So we're about to do this. Guys, this was a great episode, but before we get started, you know how this works. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Let's get some more eyes on this. I'm going to drop the link too, because this is always a fun conversation. That's why I do the lives, for you guys to call in and give us your opinion, or else I would just do pre-recorded uploads, right? Here we go. Dropping the link for later. All right, guys. So we got our two newbies for The Real Housewives of Atlanta. We know that NeNe Leakes is gone, and a lot of us were like, oh man, what is this season going to be like without NeNe? And how is Marlo going to stay around without NeNe? But it seems like things are kind of moving along just fine. After the first episode, I have to admit, I was a little bit skeptical of how the season was going to play out. But now that we've been introduced to LaToya Ali and also Sidora, I'm like, oh, okay, this might be a banger of a season. LaToya Ali came in hot, guys. I don't know if you noticed that, but she came in almost like she wanted to have an altercation with somebody, like she's already trying to secure her spot on the show. We're going to get into that more, but I want to start where we started in this episode. So we start off this episode with Cynthia showing up to Kenya's house, and it's hot, right? She brings a little bit of champagne, and they're sitting there having a discussion. When she's sitting there talking to her, she ends up announcing the fact that LaToya Ali is going to show up. And remember, guys, LaToya is not a peach holder. She is a friend of. So when LaToya shows up, she comes in, again, hot. She announces herself, and she seems a little crazy, wild, fun, all over the place. Kind of what a perfect housewife would be. But this is still a little bit too soon to tell, I would think. You could tell, though, Cynthia was a little annoyed. Cynthia seems like Kenya never acts like this. Why all of a sudden Kenya's inviting this girl to her home? Kenya's wanting to be friends with her. And mind you, this was not Kenya's friend to begin with. This was Candy's friend. Now, Kenya said in this episode, sorry, Candy, I'm stealing LaToya. But it seems like that is the direction it's taking so far. You guys have to remember, though, Kenya's been friends with many other castmates before, and she flips on them mid-season. So this could possibly be the same thing. But for Kenya, she knows how to secure her spot on the show. We'll have to see how it plays out. As we keep it moving, though, LaToya Ali ends up announcing that she is separated from her husband now. She's been served with the divorce. She ends up telling us later what that whole separation concept means. And that was a little bit shifty, too. Hold on, I'm going to drop this really quick. Okay. Guys, 57 in the room, go ahead, hit that like button, and let's keep it moving. Speaking of the two newbies, though, we know that LaToya comes in and she's already sitting there kind of throwing shade at Cynthia, calling it River Bailey and whatever else she's saying. Cynthia ends up inviting both of the ladies to Lake Bailey. She wants to go over kind of these different wines from Black-owned businesses because she wants to, like she said, be a part of the movement, live in today's time, and also incorporate other Black-owned businesses within her own. So I think that's a great thing. What I did find a little bit hypocritical, though, is she's sitting there talking about how Kenya wouldn't invite somebody right up in her house when she just met her. But Cynthia, no, you just invited her over to your house. We know, though, that that's obviously part of production, so we know how this works. Moving on, though, we end up, again, like I said, meeting Sidora, and Sidora is the one who got her peach. Sidora, though, she's interesting to me. She obviously has the background of being an actress and, like Cynthia says, a songstress. And Cynthia met Sidora through Eva. Eva. I always say Eva. Through Eva. So when she met her, it seems like they hit it off, I guess, in this kind of quick passing through. But Kenya is not a fan either. Just like Cynthia seems like she's not a fan of LaToya, Kenya is not a fan of Sidora. She ended up saying in the confessional, pretty much that Cynthia always goes out and finds like these strays and they should just go back to the pound or something. She used some sort of analogy like that. And it was like, wow, why are you coming for her so hard already? She just said that she's thoroughly not impressed. Kenya's not impressed with Sidora, but she does think that she has a cute husband. For Drew, though, I would be careful because even though Drew Sidora has this boot on, I don't think it would stop her from shoving that boot down somebody's throat. I'm going to bring up a caller really quick just to ask her opinion on Drew Sidora and LaToya Ali, and then we're going to keep this recap going. Hi, B.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, you're breaking up.
Can you hear me?
It's staticky.
Okay, I'll drop me and I'll comment.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. Maybe V's mic will work again when she calls back. But when we're sitting there watching Drew Sidora kind of talk about her marriage, it seems like another unconventional topic, another unconventional marriage for the books. Obviously, we're seeing this play out in Real Housewives of Orange County. We've seen it in New York. We've seen it in New Jersey, Beverly Hills. We've seen it all across the board. Now we're also seeing it in Salt Lake City, but Drew Sidora is bringing it to Atlanta. Her husband is an IT guy, and like she said, acting doesn't always pay the bills, especially when you're in a TLC biopic or The Game, or, I mean, she doesn't have very big roles, and that's no shade at all. But her husband's an IT guy, and he seems to do very well for himself. What I don't understand, though, is two things. One, why is Drew Sidora's mom, the pastor, living in the house? That never works out. Never works out when you have your mom move in with you. And two, why is her husband disappearing for 3 days and acting like she has no right to know where he's going? They celebrated their 6th year anniversary, and they're like, yeah, babe, we made it to 6 years. I'm like, 6 years? That doesn't seem like really that long. And now that we're starting to see how their dynamic plays out more and more, it's like, oh, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense. It's almost like there's a lack of trust and respect within the household. Now, guys, remember, her husband is an IT guy, and there are cameras all over the house. We end up seeing them sit down where he organized this romantic dinner for their anniversary, had balloons all put up, had a chef come, Chef Love, and made her this beautiful meal. But as soon as they sit down and they start talking about what the real problems are, what's going great and what's not going great, it comes out, that she gets frustrated because sometimes she'll go to knock on the door to give him maybe like a meal or something, and boom, all of a sudden her husband's gone. She has no idea where he goes, has no idea when he left. She doesn't know any of this. And when she's talking to him about it, he's like, how does that help you? How does it help you to know where I'm at? I would be like, what? What do you mean? How does it? We're married. And then she ends up kind of furthering the conversation as to, have you been watching me in the house? And he's like, no, I wouldn't be watching you. And she's like, okay, well, on your phone, I saw a photo of me sleeping and, my mom on the couch. Why would you have that? He's like, here, take my phone. You want to check my phone? And then she goes through it and she looks like kind of like a fool is what she said, because as she's scrolling, there's no photo. Now, of course, he deleted it. He knew this moment was coming. He knew that they were about to have this sit down. And obviously the tough conversation was going to be had, especially when he just had the same conversation with Mike, and Drew Sidora just told the women at Lake Bailey that what did he say? Or what did she say? She said that he disappeared for 3 days. I mean, that's crazy. So all of the women are like, no way. Cynthia, especially, her eyes got the biggest, but it just seems like this whole marriage is about to unravel. And I'm just an outsider looking in, but watching shows like this, usually it's hard to keep your marriage on a reality TV show, I think, if it's not already a strong unit. So there's just a lot of questions here already. Hi, B.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect.
Great. I think it's my laptop. I was on my laptop. Now I'm on my phone, but whatever.
That's okay.
I love Drew Sidora. I'm in love with her and her whole family.
So you're liking her?
Yeah. I don't know what it is about it. It's the family dynamic, her openness with her husband. It's just like, she's transparent to the fans, but LaToya Ali did come in really strong. I think it's because, and I watch DJ Richie Sky, and I know you're like good with him and stuff like that. I watch him a lot, and he makes a lot of sense. When you're a new person coming into the franchise, the way you're gonna make your staple is if you go after someone, like you try to start a conflict with a known housewife, like a OG or somebody like that. You know, that's how you know you'll probably like that's gold for the producers, and they're like, okay, we can keep her and probably put her on as a full-time housewife.
I totally agree with him because the way that she came into Lake Bailey and she starts talking about the cold meatballs, plopping on the couch, like she has kind of no respect the way that she plopped on Cynthia's couch. And
River Bailey.
River Bailey. And it seems like these little subtle hints of shade, but it also seems like maybe she's almost being coached a little bit by Kenya, just like Dr. Wendy Osefo was this past season by Candace.
Yeah, I can say that that's true too. Yeah, because Kenya is a little shady bunch there. She likes to throw a little, just a little cattiness out there a little bit. And LaToya was giving it like, and Cynthia said it in her confessional, was like, I just met you, calm down. Like, you need to calm down.
Yeah.
And
I agree with her. And she comes in, I'm okay with the subtle shade. I actually really enjoy the little shady moments when they make sense. But in this moment, like when Sidora walks in and she's limping in, and all of a sudden LaToya stands up and is like, I'm going to tell her man to leave. And all of a sudden, what is that pet on her head? It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, we've only known you for 5 minutes. It's not like we've known her throughout the season, and then she gets like that. It's like this is your first premiere episode, and you're like going in.
And you can't kick somebody out of River Bailey's house.
I know this
River LaToya.
That was so funny, but yes, she is. I mean, I don't know. LaToya seems a little bit like she's trying a little too hard. She seems like she's trying a little bit too hard. And for me, I like the authenticity of Sidora, because she just came. I don't know. It's just, you could just tell. I mean, everyone's like, Kenya, of course, doesn't like her because Kenya hardly likes anyone new. But,
which is surprising, the fact that she even likes LaToya.
Which is surprising. I think it's because LaToya kind of like, from my understanding, LaToya probably just, went for Kenya like, oh, I'm going to be best friends with Kenya, and probably gave her like all her flowers right there. And went for everybody else whenever they had their first conversation. But I mean, it's what it is. But
then it makes sense though too, because you see Marlo, and Marlo's sitting there at Lake Bailey, and she's like, I don't know who this Kenya is. Like, it's almost like Kenya is trying to maintain some sort of relevancy because she doesn't know if LaToya Ali is going to be a peach holder in this moment. She doesn't know if Sidora is going to be a peach holder in this moment, because obviously they were testing both of them. And then usually towards the middle of the season, they'll end up making up their mind and deciding who has more dimension to their life, who makes a better housewife, who's going to have the conflict, but also the resolution. And for LaToya, I feel like it's going to be a lot of conflict, and I don't know how much resolution she's going to have.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a lot of conflict. And I think the only conflict it looks like right now Sidora is going to be having is with Kenya. And it seems like that because of Twitter, it just looks like, because this whole stray, like, that was so shady.
It was rude. And especially, I mean, the stray, and then that she does the confessionals after she sat there and went through the moment, right? They film the confessionals later, and they have to rewatch themselves before they do it. It's like you tried to play off of the fact that LaToya said that she had a pet on her head, and then Kenya and Cynthia end up going inside and saying, like, what do you think about these women? I don't think that Drew and LaToya are going to get along. It's like Kenya's already planting that seed. She doesn't want them to get along. Whereas Cynthia and Drew, I couldn't see why any of the women would have a problem with Drew yet, because she seems pretty level-headed.
Yeah, she seems pretty level-headed. It's just two different dynamics when they both came in on the same episode. You see Drew coming in more like calm, cool, collected, and and LaToya coming in like a whole hurricane, like, I'm gonna show you who I am, I'm gonna show you I'm gonna take this peach and things like that. And we don't even know. And then the whole conversation about sugar daddies and her being separated and wanting to date other people, like, it was just this whole thing.
I have a question about that. Well, I have a few questions for you really quick. Do you think NeNe would have liked LaToya?
No, I don't think NeNe would have liked LaToya.
Okay. And then also, do you feel, because we see where, and this could be clever editing because we know how it works, but we see where the Bravo keeps panning over to Mike's face as he's coming in and out of the room, and his eyes are real big. Do you find it to be disrespectful the way that LaToya was presenting herself, especially when Cynthia's soon-to-be husband's in the room?
I just think that's who she is. I don't necessarily think she thought about it, and I don't really see it. I mean, no, I don't see it as disrespectful, because you're bringing in this 28, 29, 30-year-old girl into your house. You know she's going to turn up for the cameras. And then they always have fun. It's like whenever they have something at Lake Bailey, they always like talk about, you know, raunchy things and things like that. And so I don't really think it was disrespectful, because I know Cynthia knows what she's bringing into her household. But it probably was clever editing. And I don't think he was actually watching her like twerk or whatever.
Right. It could, and that face could have easily have been because he heard something and his eyes got big, and then they inserted it right, you know, at the right spot. But that's true. But my next question for you is about the separation. You know, Drew Sidora, to me, and I think we all have our own different, you know, opinions, and that's why I love doing this. But to me, guys, 160 in the room, go ahead, hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 200. But for me, when she said separated, it means that you're really no longer, like, you could do whatever you want. That's what LaToya said. You know, I'm separated. I can do whatever I want. And then a year, me and my man will get back together. And Drew Sidora is like, no, separated means trying to focus. You need your space and trying to figure out what you want. And not necessarily that you get to just go hang out with every Tom out there, you know?
Oh, yes. I so am with Drew Sidora on that. I don't believe that you separate just so you can go sow your royal oats. Why did you get married in the first place? You just should have, you know, just divorced. That's it. I don't believe that's something you should do. I think, honestly, the separation is when you know, like, let me see if this is what I really want. We're arguing. We're in a toxic space right now. So let's separate, and we'll figure out if we want this or not. We'll date, like how on Salt Lake City, they're so-called dating only each other, but they're separated. You know what I mean? Meredith, correct?
Right.
Yeah. And so I think that makes more sense than her saying, oh, I'm just going to go have fun for a year and then come back to the relationship.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Drew in the sense of, like, if you go off and have fun for a year, don't think that I'm going to be sitting here waiting for you to come back. And Drew, we have to give it to her. She came in being completely transparent, and even her husband, who was willing to sit down and talk about the fact that he disappeared for 3 days. That's absolutely crazy to me, by the way.
Insane. I mean, that's why I like the last scene of them. That was where I was like, okay, I like this girl. Like, I always watched her on, like, I know her from different movies and stuff like that, but I was like, I like this girl. Like, her and her husband were like arguing like a real couple. It wasn't manufactured. It wasn't for television. You know, it was very authentic, and they were like, and he was telling her how he felt, and she was trying to figure out what's going on, and it just was real. Like, and it's crazy to me that he just up and left, didn't say anything, and she went to go give him dinner, and he wasn't even there, and it made her look crazy. And now a week later, I want to say, they said, I think it was last week, he went on or whatever, and the next week is their anniversary, and they're all good. You know what I mean? So it's, you see the peaks and valleys of their relationship already.
Right. And, you know, I think that he honestly is probably going to receive a lot of flack for this, a lot of backlash, because people are sitting there kind of, I mean, I agreed with her. I think that you're making her look kind of crazy too. Absolutely. And especially, he's looking at her in the face and he's like, how does this help you? And she had a good point. Immediately when she's like, well, if there's something, like, we have a few kids together, if there's a health concern, if there's X, Y, and Z, like, I should know where you're at. I mean,
absolutely. No, that is 100%. Like, me and my boyfriend's been together 8 years, so I understand completely. Like, you cannot just disappear, and we have a whole family, and I can't get in contact with you. I can't even talk to you. Like, he said that he texted her back, but he wasn't answering her calls. You don't know if she's hurt. You already know that she just had surgery, and she's rehabilitating and things like that. And she have 3 kids at home. Like, you have to really put that into perspective. Like, I understand you needed your space. You felt like you were being bombarded by her mother or whatever, but you don't just get up and leave and not say anything.
Well, and then why, I kind of agreed with her in this. Why do you need to drive past 3 beaches to get to the beach?
I was like, why Tampa? Like Savannah's right there. I live in Atlanta, so I know, and I'm from Florida. I'm from Miami, Florida. So it's like, okay, you don't have to drive. It's literally like 6 hours to get to Tampa from Atlanta. So it's like, you don't have to drive that far to get to a beach. If you wanted to clear your head, go 2 hours to Savannah. Just you're right there. You don't have to go to North Carolina, which is an hour and a half, 2 hours away. You don't have to go 6 hours to Tampa. And he didn't have to leave Atlanta, period, honestly, to get away and do anything. Like,
yeah, you could have stayed in a hotel.
Go sit next to a pool at a hotel.
I agree. And obviously they don't have the same bank accounts all the way around, because there has to be some sort of card here that's catching the charges for what he does when he's on his off time, I guess. But I just don't understand. And I think that this is probably why they decided to give Drew Sidora the peach, because we can already tell that her whole relationship, again, I said this at the beginning, I think this relationship is going to unravel only because it takes such a strong unit to make it on a reality show and take all the backlash and everything that's going to come their way. If you're not strong, you're going to end up breaking apart. And this doesn't seem like a strong unit.
It doesn't seem like a strong unit. I have a question though, Adam.
Yeah.
Because I saw what you posted on your community about who should have been a peach holder, and a lot of people said Marlo. And do you think that? I think Marlo is strategically not taking the peach. I think she wants to just only be at the events and things like that, and you not actually pry into her life. Because that's basically what a friend is. You don't really see what's going on in their life. They don't have to follow you everywhere.
Well, I have an interesting theory about this. I have 2 theories. One is I've heard that she will never be a peach holder because of some sort of alleged criminal past that Bravo can't necessarily fully support her as a housewife. Or I also agree with you, what you just said. That could be a possibility too, because when I did my interview with Mama D Simmons from Real Housewives of Dallas, she was letting me know, I do not have a contract with Bravo. I am not a housewife. They do not tell me what to wear. They don't tell me what time to be there. I tell them when I'm coming. And that's kind of that's the beauty of not really signing that full ironclad contract that ties you into the franchise. Like, if she's not a peach holder, she does have a little bit more leeway. Like you said, they can't totally pry into her life. They can't necessarily dictate what time she shows up to everything. They can only invite her, hope she shows. And for every episode she shows up in, that's how they pay her. They don't pay her as a full salaried housewife.
I mean, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
But speaking of money, really quick, money and problems, before we end up wrapping this up today, we have a few other topics to go over. Guys, 235 in the room, hit that like button. I want to talk about really quick Kandi going to Riley's graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like it was Mama Joyce's place to take that second seat? Or do you feel like that should have been Todd in that second seat?
I mean, I would say Mama Joyce, just because she's only been married to Todd for X amount of time. And I mean, I'm pretty sure she wanted Mama Joyce there.
Right.
I don't think she wanted Todd to be there. I don't see her. I'm only judging off of the television, but I don't see her and Todd's relationship like that close. You know what I mean? To where he's always going to be, I mean, he's going to do it regardless, but where she's always going to want him at her graduation, be the one to walk her down the aisle for her wedding or things like that. I don't see that relationship, right? Like through the television, it doesn't seem like that.
Right. It seems like, well, and I think that he came into a point in, Riley's life where there might have been a little bit of animosity. Like maybe this man was taking her mom away for a little bit of time, because when Kandi first met Todd, they were going places, having vacations.
I mean, yeah. And Mama Joyce made it known that she didn't like Todd and probably planted some type of seeds everywhere she could. You know what I mean?
Mama Joyce.
She's not shy about stuff like that. So
no, she's a firecracker. Did you, but my other opinion, and I asked Tasha K this, when I did last week's
last week.
Atlanta recap, and I was asking her, do you feel like Riley is spoiled? And she said, listen, I spoil my kids because I have the money to do it. So no, she doesn't. She feels like Candy's able to provide Riley with a certain lifestyle, so that's just what she's used to. But in your opinion, do you find Riley to be like when she walks in, she gets the flowers and she's like, I wanted money? Or, it's...
I mean, spoiled is one thing and ungrateful is another.
Okay, so what do you find her to be either of these?
Spoiled, like, yes, because Candy does, like, she has that to give it to her. So I understood completely what Tasha K was talking about, because if I had everything in the world, I would give it to my child too.
Right.
But then I would also be teaching her to, be able to teach her how to make that money on her own, so she won't always rely on, me. But that scene when she was like, oh, I wish I could have money instead of flowers, that was kind of ungrateful. That was like kind of like a gut punch to her mom. It's like, oh, I give you like, she gives you everything. Why do you feel like you can't just accept the flowers and, you'll get money at some point? I mean, I don't think it was ungrateful at that moment. And I think, it's a fine line with her. And I don't like to talk about people's children.
Right.
So I can't really and I can't talk about how she was raised because I don't know, but
yeah,
she's spoiled. I mean, what can you say? I mean,
and that's not necessarily the word. Spoiled can mean a variety of different things. At the end of the day, again, Candy was able to provide. She's able to provide her children with a certain lifestyle, and
look, she's going to college. I mean, we have a lot of these, superstars, children that feel like they don't need to go to college. They're gonna go be an Instagram model or Instagram, and I can aspire to see like that. Candy raised her right because she's going to be a lawyer. She doesn't want to be a singer. She doesn't want to be, an actress. She just wants to, be a lawyer. She wants to go to NYU, go to law school after that, and become a lawyer. And that's like, if she already sees that path, I mean, Candy did something right.
I agree with you. 100%. And last topic I want to touch on really quick is we see Porsha get out of jail and she ends up calling into her mom, talking to her mom and her sister. By the way, that mug shot.
Ooh.
Yeah, man. And when her mom said the Charlie Brown face, I was like, you guys are so shady, man.
Shady.
They're so shady. But Porsha ends up talking about how she needs to get more organized now because with doing her radio show, being a part of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, she has multiple businesses. She's a real entrepreneur and super successful, but now she wants to put more of her time into her activism. When she's talking about this, we end up seeing her later throughout the episode address something that a lot of people felt like she was pushing her activism to avoid, which was her relationship.
I mean, I can see that because, but he was there to support her as well. But like what she was doing is kind of simply completely separate from that. So I can understand that she doesn't have, like, of course she's not going to put her relationship to the forefront because she's being an activist at this moment in time. So, but she is a public figure. So people expect her, you said you're engaged, you guys got re-engaged and recommitted to each other, but nothing.
We want to know about it.
Yeah, we don't see anything. We want to know about it. And you're supposed to be showing us your life, and you're showing us that you're out in Louisville, protesting. But I honestly think it's just two separate things. Like I am proud of Porsha for what she's doing, and I literally can't really say anything bad about it. And
yeah, we can't take that from her.
You cannot take that from her at all. And he was there supporting her like every single time she went. He was there supporting her.
So do you see this? I mean, he obviously, and hey, there's 250 something people in the room. We've all been through quarantine. If you're quarantining with somebody that you're in a relationship with, you know that it has its ups and its downs. And it did start off, like she said, it felt like a honeymoon at first. And then all of a sudden it's like the littlest things and you just want to pop off. I understand that feeling sometimes. Do you think that her and Dennis are going to end up making this relationship work? Or do you think that it's eventually
it's an end to this relationship?
Yeah.
The reason I say that, and I always saw it from the beginning, she jumped into this relationship head first. Like she from all that she's been through, she didn't take her time when it came to Dennis. She didn't take her time to learn to meet him and, you know, just and let him court her for a longer period of time. I mean, within the first like 3-4 months, she found out she was pregnant when she was dating him. So it's not like, well, allegedly. And, you know, she moved really quickly. She moved really, really quickly with him. And nothing ever comes from that, but from this, it comes disaster because of the fact of that everything is such at a high in the beginning, especially if you get pregnant in the beginning. And once you bring a child into that dynamic, you're like, and I can say this myself because I have a 6-month-old, and like before she was born, our relationship was like all I saw was him. But now that my daughter's born, I'm like, your love grows so much, and it's like you want to make sure everything is done right for your child. And so if you want, so bringing a child into a dynamic that started off, you know, and y'all didn't have like the chance to fight or argue or, you know, learn about each other's, you know, little nicks and knacks and things that bother you and things like that, everything will come to like you, like she said, you didn't make that bottle fast enough. You didn't, you know, you didn't put her to bed. Like you're doing it wrong. Like everything kind of like blows up when you bring a child into it. So that's why I always say you have to be with somebody long enough to know that's who you want to be with forever, or you know that that's who you want to be the father of your child before you bring a child into that relationship. Because I can tell you now that relationship is not going to last. I'm sure it's already over. Like,
well, I mean, there's either 3 reasons that they got together, right?
mm-hmm.
One is that, you know, Porsha was, I know why he's with Porsha. She's stunning.
Mm-hmm.
I know why he's with her, but there's 3 reasons why she would be with him. One is she really felt like madly in love with him in the beginning. 2 is because she saw that he can provide a lifestyle. And even though he might not be necessarily a 10 out of 10 on the looks, like he was courting her, he was providing a lifestyle, he's successful. And that's when somebody's successful, they can look like a 3 and still be a 10. It changes the game a little bit. Or 3, kind of the same thing we've seen Kenya go through. It's like you start seeing your biological clock ticking, and she wanted a baby.
And believe me, I understand completely. Like she wanted a baby, and her daughter is beautiful, and he seems like such a great father. But I just don't think that their relationship was ready for it at that moment. It is what it is now, but they're not going to be together in the future. And I can honestly, I see it. Like it's been way too many rumors out here. He's been, you know, it's too many alleged girls that's coming out and saying these things, and you know, their relationship wasn't strong enough to handle that type of backlash yet.
Well, and when you can embarrass somebody that's on a public platform, that's going to stick with Porsha. And now every time he leaves the house, I'm sure her mind wanders, and she's probably like, "Where are you?"
And then she says, "Oh, he has a place, you know, in the city, and he also stays here too." I was like, I remember last season they were arguing about that the entire time. So I don't understand how they come to a conclusion where it's like, okay, you can go stay there, and you know that like he's been unfaithful to you while you were pregnant, and then you give him the leeway to have a place down in the city while you're home. Like, no. It's not happening.
I agree. And last 2 things, I keep saying this to you, but last 2 things. One, are Sidora and LaToya Ali going to get along, or are they going to end up feuding this season?
They're not getting along.
Okay, they're not getting along.
Especially after that cat hat head comment thing.
That was a little messy. And then 2, what are we looking forward to most the rest of the season?
Looking forward to most. Sidora.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like honestly, I don't think right now these past 2 episodes, it doesn't really look like Candy has like a solid storyline. So I hope something comes out of that.
Right.
I agree. Porsha. I love Porsha.
And we know that Sidora and Porsha are going to end up getting along.
Yep.
So that's going to be great to see. I can't wait to see Sidora's marriage, how that's going to work out. And then I also want to see if LaToya and Kenya end up flipping on each other, because Marlo easily got into her head within 2 seconds. So if somebody else gives her the time of day, LaToya might flip. I want
I
to
don't
see.
think it's gonna be this season. I think they're gonna hold on to that alliance throughout the season, and because Kenya right now doesn't like Sidora. LaToya already, has some type of like, some type of issue so far with Sidora, and I just see them like holding on to their alliance to go against Sidora. Not saying that they're gonna like come after her, but just like be the two that don't like her. Have each other to gossip about her and stuff like that.
I
But
feel like LaToya might be another Giovanna.
LaToya might be a Giovanna.
Remember Snakegate?
Yeah, no, I know Snakegate. I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't
Like trying to come in really hard, but then it ends up biting you in the butt. And then
But remember, Giovanna was a guest. I feel like she wasn't even a friend. Like, you saw Giovanna like 2 times.
That's true. That's true.
She was, so she had to make her type of statement. And, they thought she thought she was going to come back, as an actual peach holder. And they did not even give her the time of day. Like, Bravo is shady. Bravo is the shadiest of them all.
Well, V, as always, it's a pleasure having you on here with me. I appreciate you taking the time. This episode kind of sucked me back in. I wasn't here for the first episode, so I wasn't totally feeling it. But now I feel like I'm liking the 2 new women. I want to see how the dynamics play, and we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yes. And you know what I'm looking forward to? Your review on this reunion.
Hey, tomorrow I'm actually doing it with one of the operators of the Black Socialites, who's really, really good friends with a few of the housewives of Potomac. I was going to do it today, but he had other things going on, and I thought it would be really fun to kind of collaborate and do it with him.
OMG. I'm excited.
Yeah. And he hangs out with these women, so he knows things that I'm not going to know. And I always love bringing on somebody who knows something that's going on behind the scenes. I mean, I would love to sit here and do it with you guys too, just by myself. But if he knows something and he's willing to come on and talk about it.
He needs to come on. I don't mind.
Yeah. Well, so he'll be on tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, did we lose you?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yep.
All right. Sounds good. I'll see you then.
All right. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So that's it for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. 262 in the room. Go ahead, hit that like button. Today, also at 1 o'clock, I'm going to be doing the new 90 Day Fiance. We're going to recap that. And then I just received a call from Pops, who we are doing Pops Off on Pop Culture today, giving back 100% of the proceeds to our vets. That's either going to be at 2:30 or 3. I have to call him right back and find out. So stick around, guys. It's going to be an eventful day, and I appreciate you guys watching. Love you guys. Bye.